and 100,000 job positions are going to be affected. Had his first session in the House of Commons in Parliament. His main concern is having an extended summer break.
Disrupt America till I fuck.
Weird thing to happen. So brace yourselves, people. Brace yourselves. Things are not looking the up and up, especially now that government jobs are on the chopping block, ladies and gentlemen. Something that we thought Mark Carney was going to avoid. People thought, if I, support the elbows up movement and get this central banker in, I am safe from my public sector job being taken away by Doge and Pierre Poilievre and the conservative movements that want to cut everything. Brace yourselves, because it's coming around to you, folks, unfortunately. This is from the Coast Reporter. Hundreds of government job losses planned at the CRA and the ESDC. I think that's the Social Development Services, I think. Top officials at the Canadian Revenue Agency say mounting job cuts will impact how the agency is able to deliver services. Top officials at the Canada Revenue Agency says mounting job cuts will impact how the agency is able to deliver services. Commissioner Bob Hamilton and Deputy Commissioner Jean-François Fortin, like that little French there, said in a message to staff Thursday that up to 280 employees will lose their jobs at the agency. The agency has been examining its operating budget for more than 2 years to meet a demand for the government to find savings. The officials say that the CRA needs to reassess the way it works to respond to the job losses, including reconsidering how many projects it takes on, streamlining its processes, and finding ways to innovate. Which, to me, it sounds like it's going to be AI. When someone tells you that there's innovation coming your way, it's usually the warning sign that, hey, you're going to be replaced by a robot. If we don't find a temporary foreign slave to take over the position. Which is usually how the job market works in Canada. It is likely that some internal services will be impacted, with some services being eliminated entirely, said in the message. It didn't specify which services might be eliminated, but did say the Digital Transformation Program branch will no longer be an independent part of the agency, and instead will have to absorb its work absorbed into other parts of the agency. The Canada Revenue Agency job cuts will impact branches across the CRA, but the reductions will mainly impact employees in the National Capital Region. Executive positions are also being impacted by the reductions. So it's not just the secretaries. That's at least one thing. Not just the, low end, the totem pole that usually gets wiped out first. It's actually the executives. Go figure. The CRA is one of the several government organizations that has recently announced job reductions. Matthew Brett, a spokesman for the Canada Employment and Immigration Union, confirmed Friday that Employment and Social Development Canada is terminating about 800 term positions in the passport program. Job losses will take place across the country, with the effective end date for the positions at the end of June. A spokesperson for ESDC said in an email that the decision was necessary and not taken lightly, adding Service Canada, which delivers the passport program in Canada on behalf of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, continually assesses its value and highly skilled workforce levels to align with forecasted volumes to ensure adequate staffing capacity for processing. As a cost recovery program, Services Canada's workforce levels for the passport program are being aligned as part of the end of June 2025 to a decreased volume of passport applications now being forecasted by the IRCC for 2025-26. Treasury Board Secretariat records show that the ESDC has 39,154 employees, up from 39,089 employees in 2021 during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, The department's ranks grew significantly from 27,000 in 2020 to 32,000 in 2021. That's right. Everybody just went to work for the government, I guess. The Canada Revenue Agency will initially seek out volunteers who may be looking to leave the agency, but the officials say that in their message, the agency cannot live up to their Government of Canada policy to offer permanent employees affected by layoffs at reasonable job offer elsewhere in the public service where possible. Unlike previous workforce adjustments due to fiscal restraints, guaranteed reasonable job offers cannot be provided to most of the employees affected, it says. Earlier this month, the Union of Taxation Employees announced that that Canada Revenue Agency wouldn't renew contracts for more than 1,000 term workers across the country. More than 3,000 jobs at the agency have been cut since 2024, the union says, including debt collectors and call center positions. CRA spokesperson Etienne Brim says a number of factors have been impacted the CRA's budget in recent years, including the sunsetting of COVID program funding. So, regardless of how people feel, I know people despise the CRA, you know, as much as Americans despise the IRS. It's a tax service. It's not a pleasant experience to begin with. But regardless of how you feel about this particular agency and the people involved with it, I still do feel bad. I still feel bad because it's still job losses. It's still people without a source of income. And considering the downturn of things like the auto sector that's cutting back on employees and the disputes on that and other job numbers that are, you know, the unemployment rising right now, and with youth unemployment rising into the summer months, that's also just a warning sign to the downturn of this country. Now we're getting into actual government positions. That's kind of shows you where we're at right now and what the near future is going to look like for this country if we don't come to act, if we don't respond accordingly by trying to find measures into keeping this country afloat. Because as they're cutting back positions, and most notably going towards AI, as they say, innovation, that's usually the sign that tells you it's going to AI, without any sort of, you know, measure to deal with the, you know, transformation of AI technology, and that's where UBI comes in. Without that sort of discussion, some sort of policy in revolving that, you know, life in this country is not going to look good. It's not going to look good if you don't have a steady workforce, a strong workforce that has, you know, a continuous income that could, you know, pay for their necessities, but also flourish into the economy. Then the economy is going to fail, and and Canada as a whole is going to fail. So it's devastating throughout. It's devastating throughout, and again, regardless of how you feel about the CRA, I know people are going to be like, yeah, you got what you deserve. That's what you get for voting Mark Carney. Again, I have qualms with the CRA. I'm not fans of them. I know that they're, you know, bloated to the T when it comes to funding, when it comes to kickbacks from the government. And, you know, as you see there's a lot of employees that got funneled into the public sector. And that's one of the reasons why our GDP is shrinking. Regardless, it's still a loss of jobs. It's still a loss of jobs, which means unemployment is going to continue increasing, and it's going to affect the entire country. It's going to affect the entire country. And just like what we saw in the article of the opinion piece where they said that, hey, maybe we could phase out the auto sector. Maybe we don't have to worry about manufacturing in Canada. We just got to, you know, reimagine how it works. I don't see at this point them trying to reimagine former government employees. I don't see them reimagining anything beyond this point because of just how skyrocketing these numbers are getting. You got government employees that are losing their jobs. You got auto sector and manufacturing that's losing their jobs. You got retail sector that's losing their jobs. Entry level positions are being eaten up by temporary foreign workers and eventually going to move to AI. So that's going to be eaten up. And that's going to determine, if we don't find a solution to this soon, it's going to determine the fate of this country. That if we want to continue, as a class of people, as Canadians, we have to do something. We have to call to action this. The Government of Canada website says that in 2025, a total people of 52,000 worked for the CRA, down from 59,000 in 2024, but the number is still about 20% higher than it was in 2019, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you get the gist of it. So Mario Zella, or do you say Zella, who runs his TikTok website there, he does really good short videos, like deep dives into articles. He's like the Canuck Ian Carroll here. He's like the Canadian Ian Carroll. He's really thorough in investigations and going through breakdowns and stuff like this. So he's about to do a breakdown here because there was an article that came out recently from TD Bank, from Toronto Dominion Bank. And their chief economist at this top bank in Canada just announced that Canada is going to be in a recession this year. I would argue it's already in a recession, but I'm not an economist. I'm not, financially as literate as these people. I'm just going off of observation, concerning the fact that people are lining up at food banks, that necessities like groceries are getting too expensive. I would say we're in a recession right now, but they're saying that it's coming soon, and 100,000 job positions are going to be affected. 100,000 job positions. That's from manufacturing to government employees to retail, all across the spectrum. All across the spectrum. And Parliament doesn't seem to really grasp these numbers as a red flag, because Mark Carney, who just got ushered into being prime minister and now having his first session of the House of Commons, is trying to bypass any of these discussions to quickly go on summer break. And here's what Mario Zella had to say about this.
So Canada is entering into recession territory, and it's soon going to lose over 100,000 jobs. This is coming straight from TD Bank's chief economist. They're predicting that we are going to have negative GDP in the second and third quarters of this year as a result of the tariffs. What's extremely concerning about this is during the most consequential election Canada has had, Mark Carney is taking an extended summer vacation, and we will have no budget. Pierre Poilievre on the other.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that? So Mark Carney, who got selected to be the leader of the Liberal Party, had the shortest campaign scaring people with the elbows up tariff threats, got himself elected, now just had his first session in the House of Commons in Parliament. His main concern is having an extended summer break. This is a guy that's supposed to help a crisis. This is a crisis leader for Canada. That, hey, I'm going to fast track through the House of Commons for the next couple of weeks until, I go back on break. So all the people that are going to lose their jobs, sucks to be you. Sucks to be you. Maybe you should have been a politician, because they don't lose their jobs. Unless you're actually truthful, or you're Chandler Arian from the Nepean riding, where he got kicked out being the incumbent because Mark Carney needed a riding to be a prime minister. But politicians never lost their jobs. They never lost their jobs during COVID. They get pay raises all the time. Pay raises for screwing over the country. So I guess that's the way to go. Everyone just become a politician. and just yell at each other constantly. And then you get extended breaks.
On the other hand, told all of his MPs that we are working throughout the summer and we're going to pass a lot of bills and a lot of legislation for change. Mark Carney literally said that there's no point of trying to produce and rushing a budget because summer vacation is coming up. Does this not concern him? Does it also not concern Canadians? Unbelievable.
It does not concern Mark Carney to do a budget. It doesn't concern Mark Carney that he's already pledged millions and millions, upwards to billions of dollars in the most insidious ways of spending. From more spending on the Ukraine war to spending on gender studies in foreign countries to Israel to all the stuff you can imagine that is just everything against Canadians. Everything against Canadian interests they've already spent money on. They can't formulate a simple budget to highlight this. A simple budget to tell Canadians where their tax dollars are going towards. Why it's costing, $3 or $4 inflation of eggs. Why groceries are becoming so expensive. What printed money is going to where? Why are we having this inflation? Why are we dealing with such amount of high taxes? Where's that money going towards? And Mark Carney just does not care. Does not care. He wants to get through this as fast as possible, to go on summer break, pass through all these bills that Canadians won't be aware of because we're going to do it so quickly and under wraps until possibly the fall. Then maybe we'll get a fall budget. If we're likely. If we say pretty please. It's just crazy. And it's even more crazy that TD Bank themselves, this is how it shows you how much of a red flag this is. Because TD Bank, one of the largest banking institutions in the country, usually gaslights people. They usually are happy-go-lucky, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Keep investing. Yeah, interest rates are going up and people can't afford paying off credit card bills and mortgage payments. Everything's fine, though. Everything's fine, though. Please be a customer, please. That's our banks. And even the banks can't lie to people anymore because TD Bank is also cutting back. According to this, TD Bank to cut 2% of workforce in restructuring. Profit dips into second quarter, but beats expectations. So even a place like Toronto Dominion Bank, one of the largest banking institutions in the country, that usually gaslights through stuff like this. They keep gaslighting Canadians and gaslighting their customers that everything's going to be okay because they don't want to lose clients. They don't want to lose customers. They don't want people to, get out of bank accounts and invest in something like gold or silver. Even they're struggling. So that says a lot. That says a lot of where the country is heading towards. Here's Bloomberg even talking about this. Bloomberg Business, TD Bank job cuts and increase the money it's setting aside for loan losses, showing that Canada's biggest banks are preparing for a tough economy. So that's the situation we're in, folks. That is Canada in the near future. And like I said, it's time for people to react to this. It's time for people to understand about this because, like we've shown before, you had the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada warning people that things are not looking good. You got now TD Bank warning people that things are not looking good. And just like the RCMP report, the internal RCMP report that they were trying to cover up, they were trying to shield away from the general public, was showing that if regular Canadians knew how screwed up this country is, there'll be a full-blown riot. There'll be a full-blown revolution, coast to coast, involving everybody to overthrow this neoliberal, globalistic insanity of Parliament. That everyone from Mark Carney to Chrystia Freeland to Meline Joly to Dominic LeBlanc to even conservatives, to even the NDP, to even the Green Party, to even the Bloc Québécois, any member of parliament that walks through those doors, the whole parliament structure is so deeply corrupted that they're allowing this to go on. They're allowing this to go on because that's what their overlords, the people that truly run this country, are dictating the politicians to do. And the politicians are dictating and ordering you to go along with this, to be okay with this, be happy and know nothing. This is all part of their agenda. And what we need is people to unite together, to realize that we all have a common enemy, and we can come together, just like we saw with the Freedom Convoy, all come together of all walks of life and fight the good fight. And we better do it soon, because I don't know what's yet to come. And if this isn't already a red flag for you, be prepared of what's coming ahead, because it's not going to go well. It's not going to be good.